Hello all. Previously we have seen primitive data types in C language. Now let us see variables in C language. A variable is a fundamental concept that is used to store the data that can be manipulated by the program. What it means? A variable is a memory location in which a value can be stored and that value can be changeable during the execution of the program. Variables are essentially a named storage location. So a variable is a name which is given to a particular memory location. In that memory location, a value can be stored. That is the meaning of variable. So let us understand what is declaration means. Before using a variable, you must declare it. The declaration specifies the variable's type and its name. So before you using a variable, you need to declare it, and the declaration specifies the variable type and its range of values. So for example, let us see the syntax. First you need to declare type, that is data type, and you have to give the space, and then you have to give the variable name and then semicolon. This is how you can declare a variable. So let us see some examples of declarations. One is int space age and another one is float space salary and char space initial. So let us see the what is initialization. Initialization involves assigning an initial value to a variable at the time of its declaration. So initialization nothing but assign a value to the variable is called initialization. So the initialization is nothing but assign the data into variables. This initialization can be done in two ways. One is compile time initialization and the second one is runtime initialization. Now let us discuss what is compile time initialization. Assign the value to variables during the compile time of the program is called compile time initialization. So what it means? While writing the C code, if you given the value to a variable like int a is equal to 10 or float b is equal to 20.5 or char x is equal to in single quotes c, and if you assign a value to a variable while writing the C code is called compile time initialization. This is like a hard coding values. So when it comes to runtime initialization, so we can assign the values during the runtime of a program is called runtime initialization. By using scanf we can achieve runtime initialization. For example, scanf %d ampersand a. So whatever you have entered that will be stored in the address of a and the type of that particular data is int. So read user integer data from the keyboard and it will be stored in the ampersand a means address of a, that is memory location of a. And we can have the floating data as well, scanf in double quotations %f. So whatever the user going to enter the data that will be stored as a float, it is storing in memory location of b. Enough of theory, let's see programmatically to understand this better. Now let us see the what is compile time initialization of variables through a simple code. At line number 5 we are declaring one variable called int var that is of type integer, and we are assigning 10 to the variable called int var. This is called compile time initialization. While writing the code, you are hard coding the values. We are not taking the input from the keyboard, right? So here we are assigning the value directly to the variable, that is called compile time initialization. Okay, line number 6 we are declaring one more variable called float var by using a float data type. That means float var is a type of float, and here 20.5 is storing in float var. And line number 7 we are declaring one variable called char var. Character is a single alphabet we can store in char data type, right? By using single quotes we are storing one single alphabet, and this single alphabet is storing in char var. And double var and 30.12345 this value is storing in double var. Now let us try to print these values by using printf. So printf value of int var is %d. That means the format specifier for integer is %d, and this %d should be referred in the variable called int var. In int var the 10 is present, the 10 will be displayed here. On line number 11 value of float var is %.3f. That means after dot 3 digits will be displayed. By we have assigned 20.5, that means 20.500 will be displayed as a output here. The format specifier for character is %c, and it will be referred in char var. In char var the alphabet a is stored, that will be displayed on line number 12. On line number 13 value of double var is %lf, that means small lf. The format specifier for double var is %small lf. This particular value gets printed here. That means 30.12345 will be the output for double var. Now let us try to compile and run. So whatever we have hard coded or whatever we have initialized through compile time, those are displayed on the output screen. Now let's see the runtime initialization by using scanf. What do you mean by runtime initialization? During the program execution, we will give the input that is called runtime initialization. Mostly we will use scanf for this functionality. So line number 567, we are declaring three variables called input int, input float and input char, which are of type int, float, char respectively. Once the declaration is done, we are asking the user for the input. On line number 9, we are printing one message called enter an integer by using printf, and we are taking input from the keyboard by using scanf, and the format specifier is %d. That means whatever the user enters, that should be an integer format. Once that is done, we have to store it in address of input int variable. On line number 11, we are asking to enter a float to the user, and we are waiting the scanf to take the input, and the format specifier for input float is %f, that means floating point number. So whatever user enters, that should be in floating point number, and it will be stored in the address of input float variable. And once it is done, we are asking the character value, and what is the format specifier for character is %c, and whatever user enters, that will be stored in input char variable, that means address of input char. So once the input is done, we are displaying those values by using printf. Value of input is %d, that means integer. Value of input int is %d. So the value will be referred from input int variable. The value of input float is %f. The value will be referred from input float variable, and the value of input char is %c. That means character specifier is %c, and the value will be referred from input char variable. So those values will be displayed onto the output screen. So now let's try to run this code. Let's see how it works. Enter char 7, 6.7, and char is character is a. Those will be displayed onto the output screen. This is the runtime initialization. That's it for variables. I will see you all in my next lecture. Thank you so much for watching.